U.S. President Donald Trump has indicated that the naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz will be lifted. In a social media post just in the last few minutes, the president also said he'll be holding a meeting in the Situation Room to make a final determination. Meanwhile, Pakistan's foreign minister is meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State as peace negotiations with Iran appear to inch closer to a deal. Mohammad Ishaq Dar, who was at the United Nations on Thursday, traveled to Washington for talks with Rubio at the State Department. His visit comes hours after the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance told reporters that a deal with Iran was very close, but sticking points remain. We have two reporters on this story this hour. Al-Mikdad Al-Ruhaid is in Tehran. First, we go to Patty Cohen, who's at the White House in Washington. Patty, talk us through what President Trump has been saying on social media in the last few minutes.
On Truth Social, it's how he often makes news, and it's a fairly lengthy post, but I'm going to go through it. He said Iran has agreed that they will never have a nuclear weapon and that the Strait of Hormuz will open immediately with no tolls going in either directions. He says the U.S. with its minesweepers will go in and remove the mines that have been placed in the strait, and then Iran, he said, if there's any left, will go and remove the rest of the mines. The naval blockade is lifted, as he mentioned. As you know, the U.S. put that naval blockade in place to blockade Iranian ships, not the other ships that were behind the blockade of the strait. And he said when it comes to the naval blockade being lifted and the ships being able to pass, say hello to your wives and husbands for me. And he said the U.S. is going to remove what he calls the nuclear dust that's been buried. Obviously, that first mission that the U.S. attacked the enrichment sites is believed to be buried under a mountain. He says the U.S. and China are the only countries with the equipment to remove that, and he said the U.S. will do that with Iranian help, along with the International Energy, the IAEA. And then he said, and this is going to be a crucial point, no money will be exchanged until further notice. So this is, again, U.S. President Donald Trump posting on social media that he's in the Situation Room currently, and that he is about to sign off on this, and he's laid out what he says the U.S. has achieved in this ceasefire deal. Again, this is just breaking news. Yeah. We're just now hearing this from the president. We're going to have to flesh it out as the day continues.
Indeed, just breaking news now, as you say, Patty. The president posting on Truth Social in just the last few minutes that the naval blockade on Iran would be lifted. And President Trump, as Patty said there, said that there would be a meeting in the Situation Room later this Friday to make a final decision on a deal with Iran. Let's get the view now from Tehran. Al-Mikdad Al-Ruhaid is there for us. What are we hearing from Iranian officials, Al-Mikdad?
Well, actually, the news coming from the U.S. is saying that there's a major progress on the talks between both sides, and we are right now just waiting for that to implement on the ground. This is what Iranian demand. This is what they are called a fundamental demand for them to go further with the negotiations. Over the past few weeks, they are describing that naval blockade as an act of war, an act of piracy, and also they are saying that it's a major and fundamental demand to go further with negotiations, and in return of that, from what we understand, if the naval blockade is being lifted, in return of that, the Strait of Hormuz will be reopened from their sides. But we do have a very strong message coming from the top negotiator and the Speaker of the Parliament a couple of hours ago. He's speaking about the whole message about Iranian. They are saying that Iran does not seize concessions through dialogue, but through missiles, and the negotiations are simply a way to make the other side understand. And he also went further than that, saying that the winner of any agreement is the side most prepared for war the day after the deal is signed. This coming from Mohammad Baqir Ghalibaf a couple of hours ago, before this news coming from the U.S., and that give us that right now Iranian are presenting peace is not in the is not in the traditional sense. Rather than that, they are saying it's a theme of deterrence, a theme of strength, not concessions. It's like a leverage for them.
Yeah.
And also we have a very important message about the Strait of Hormuz. They are speaking about new reality on the Strait of Hormuz, and definitely it's being under negotiation right now.
Indeed, as you said, what we heard a few hours ago from Iran's top negotiator was that they were still on a war footing should a deal not be reached with the U.S. But judging from what the U.S. president is now saying, announcing this lifting of the blockade on Iranian ports, it would sound like a deal is imminent. In terms of the Strait of Hormuz now, Al-Mikdad, what would Iran have agreed to in order for the U.S. to agree to lift its blockade on Iranian ports?
Well, actually, we don't know the exact deal behind the scene, but from what we understand, Mohammed Baqir Ghalibaf and also the foreign ministries, Abbas Araqchi, a couple of hours ago, he engaged a sensitive talk with his counterpart Ommani, speaking about that reality on the Strait of Hormuz, and that gives us a sense of how Iranian right now think about the post-war reality on the Strait of Hormuz. He said that with the line of the international law and the sovereignty between both countries, and also left the door open to other regional states to negotiate about the Strait of Hormuz. And definitely they are presenting that they are giving security service for the shipping lanes, for the traffic of maritime there, and also the tolls and the fees that imposed on that. They are framing that it's for security services and also for environmental protection, and that line with they call international law and the sovereignty of the both countries. But exactly what inside that deal, just we right now waiting for the officials to talk.
Indeed, we are waiting for an official announcement from both sides, even though we have this Truth Social post from President Trump in just the last few minutes. Al-Mikdad, thank you for now. We'll, of course, come back to you when there's more reaction out of Tehran. Patty, let me come back to you now at the White House. This is all happening as the Pakistani foreign minister is currently at the State Department meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. What are we expecting on that front?
We expect that we've already seen what we're going to see. The two men came out, shook hands, walked back into their meetings. We're not expecting any sort of on-camera or even behind-the-scenes briefing from either the Pakistani foreign minister or the U.S. Secretary of State. And again, I apologize. It is breaking news. I misread that Truth Social post from the president earlier when he said the U.S. has already, in his words, gotten rid of most of the mines in the Strait of Hormuz, and he said any that are left, Iran will take care of detonating those and getting rid of those. So again, this is just breaking news, a tweet, Truth Social post from the president. And if he is laying out basically what he says is an agreement that he is going into the Situation Room now to talk about. But if the wish list that he put out that he says is in this agreement is pretty much everything that the U.S. has demanded, with none of the concessions that Iran has. So it's important to point out this is just coming from the U.S. president, from his perspective. What he wants to highlight and what he says is this deal. Of course, as we just heard from my colleague in Tehran, we're going to have to wait and see what the Iranians have to say about what the president is saying he's possibly going to agree to.
Indeed, we have to wait and see the Iranian reaction. Patty, thank you very much for now. Patty Cohen at the White House.